Episode 225 of the White Cat Outdoors podcast. Bring you to the table while we talk about the outdoors. Well, we're back from Kentucky. Didn't come back nearly as heavy as we were hoping to. But for 2 out of the 3 of us being our first time down there, we learned a lot, got some good intel, had some close encounters, had turkeys in eyesight, just out of range. A lot of gobblers in the area, a lot of hens. I even got the opportunity to eat some pickled beef heart with a stranger on a trailhead, and that's just not something you get anywhere. So if you like that sort of thing, why don't you guys tune in to episode 225. I'm going to quit rambling, and let's get tuned in to this week's episode.
And then I looked dead at his antlers. I got out of the truck, and when I slammed the door, I heard gobbles all around me.
Let's see it.
Alaska, moose, spot and sock. That is the bucket list. I agree.
White Cat Outdoors. White Cat Outdoors.
Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to another installment of the White Cat Outdoors podcast. I'm bringing you in tonight. Frank is missing from the show this evening. It's his dad's birthday. He's been on the show before talking about Alaska, so everyone wish Frank a happy birthday.
Yep, happy birthday, Uncle Frank.
Yep, happy birthday.
So they're doing a little birthday dinner. I'm bringing us in. I got Nick with me,
Hey, what's going on?
and I got our good buddy Austin.
Hello.
And we actually just got back from our first turkey hunt of the year. We went out of state, public land in Kentucky.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's what we're going to recap for you today.
Yeah. Unfortunately, preface with no dead birds, but it's still a good trip. Had a lot of fun, of course.
It wasn't like a real long trip. We went down and had 1 day to hunt. Austin had 2, 1.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't get to, it wasn't really the hunt we typically like to do. It's just with everybody's schedules this year, it just wasn't viable for us to take off for a week or whatever like we typically do.
But it was enough to take the edge off while we wait our 2 more weeks for our home opener.
Yeah. So, Austin, you got down there first, actually, a few days before the season opened. So why don't you let us know what you were doing down there Thursday and Friday leading into the season?
So Thursday night, I got out or Thursday morning, I got out of work and I started heading down there. And I was kind of looking around on my way through Kentucky and ended up just getting the hotel, get the place ready to go. And then I started looking around for birds, and it was raining for the next Thursday and Friday. And so it was really nice. The birds were all out in the field. I probably saw about 24 birds, all on private. But yeah, it was looking good. I was getting real excited for the weekend, and you guys were coming down Friday night.
Yeah, I was just itching. Sitting in the office knowing that you're already down in Kentucky made it really difficult to focus, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I was sending you guys videos of a couple long beards walking through the field.
Yeah, you weren't helping me at all.
Yeah. But no, I asked permission on a couple places. Well, actually, it was half a dozen, and it was all a no. And guys were telling me they were paying $10,000 for a lease down there. So, I mean, looking for hunting property is pretty hard to.
If people are getting $10,000 for letting people hunt their property, there's not going to be too many people that give it up for free.
Yeah.
That, and I saw a lot of hunting blinds out in the field already. I'm not going to go and try and sneak my way in there if someone's already hunting. So.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, there was quite a few birds I saw Thursday and Friday.
Nice. So Tom and I had to work Friday, unfortunately. Had every bit of a 6-hour drive down to Kentucky. We got out of work, hit the road just before 6. Went as fast as we could, but got down there about 11:30 or so. Luckily, there was a nice little establishment out back, a nice music venue.
Yeah.
Went and had a couple cold pops there, shot some pool. And by that time, it was about breakfast time, so we stopped over at the local Waffle House, got some good eats in us, and
this Waffle House was probably the best one I've ever been to.
Why? Because it had a jukebox?
It had a jukebox with touch tunes. So we loaded it up with Nickelback, Creed, and Daughtry and Three Doors Down.
It was all you could ask for.
Yeah. I love the caution wet floor, like bathroom floor is wet. Like there was no like, it was like a permanent sign on the door. Like it wasn't like there was like one of those signs that you would put after you cleaned a bathroom. It was just a permanent sign on the door.
That floor was always wet.
That bathroom floor is wet. It's just standard for a Waffle House, I think.
Yeah, it was a great touch.
So we got some breakfast, and I guess I'll turn it back over to Tom and Austin. You guys kind of got on a bird Friday night, roosted it, which led to where you guys go. So if one of you two wants to pick up there and kind of go through how you ended up hunting where you did Saturday.
So Friday night, after I was kind of driving around all day looking for birds, couldn't get any permission anywhere. So I started swinging around the game lands, and one of the spots is where I killed a bird year prior, and I ended up hearing one or two gobbles, and it was getting close to sunset, so I knew that bird was going to be roosting right around where it did last year. So I zoomed off from there, and I was going to go find another one, so if we split off, we could end up getting multiple birds that morning. So I think I ended up hearing one that night. It was raining super hard, thunder and lightning, and I thought I heard one shot gobble off the thunder. And so that next morning, I was just kind of, we all go to that one spot where I heard that one for sure. And Tom and I, we went across the creek and up towards where I heard him. Nick went up the hill.
This was fun. You should elaborate on this creek
crossing
a little bit.
Yeah, so we got there 2 hours before shooting time.
Yeah.
So
plenty dark.
Breakfast was early.
Well, we had to. There was a lot of guys zooming around. I mean, if we didn't, there was going to be a guy parked there without a doubt. So, yeah.
Well, there was guys camped out the night before.
Yeah, at most of the spots. But we get out of the truck, and I could, with all this rain that's been coming down all week, I knew that water was going to be high. So I told Tom, I hope we might be swimming across this one. So kind of had the flashlight out and we're stepping around. And what'd you think of it, Tom?
Most of the water, I mean, it was like brown chocolate milk, like Whitecap type river water. And most of it was about knee deep. And my boots didn't go quite all the way up to my knees. I didn't want to have wet feet all day, and I don't think Austin did either.
No.
So we kind of had to rock hop across this thing. Austin found a nice branch, and he led the way. I kind of held on to the back of that branch, hoping Austin didn't go down and drag me down with him, because I wasn't letting go of that branch.
Yeah.
We did end up making it across. My feet stayed dry.
Nice.
So it was fun. It was eventful.
Mine was wet, so that was a good start to the morning.
Keeps you up.
Yeah. So while you guys are hiking across that creek, I decided just out on a whim, I just didn't want to like crowd you guys, so I just dipped in on the other side of the road. And I quickly realized I didn't have my headlamp, so it was pretty dark, and it's really thick and really hilly. So I pretty much just looked at onX, picked a direction, and just went to the back side of the property. I had one small like stream to cross, but it was like ankle deep. Wasn't a big deal. And same story, it was wicked early. So I had plenty of time to hike all the way to the back side of this public. It was probably, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of a mile to the back side there. And by that time I got set up, had my decoys out, and about that time I heard a gobble. And it was right back pretty much where I went in. I was like, you've got to be shitting me, like that far away. So I'm sitting there listening to him gobble, and then I think it was you or Tom texted
I
the group.
texted you. I'm
You said
like-
there's a bird hammering over. I'm like, I know. And at that point, I'm like, you know what, screw it. So I start feeting back across the property, get back down over there, cross the creek again, and get set up on it. And I was probably 150, 200 yards from the bird while it was still in the tree. And I never called or anything at that point. I can't really say I developed a tactic, but I have adopted a tactic of I don't call until the bird's on the ground. If from the studying I've done on turkeys and stuff, the normal way that hens and gobblers will communicate is the hens will call to the gobblers, and then when they fly down, the hens go to the gobbler. And I don't want to portray that, so I don't, because obviously I'm not going to get up and go to the gobbler.
Well, typically the gobbler will wait in the tree until the hen comes to the bottom and he can see the hen, and he'll fly down and they pair up immediately.
Yeah. So what I like to do is wait, and I'll just let them gobble their heads off on the roost. And hopefully there's no other hens in the area that are sounding off. And I was fortunate enough for that to happen. So basically I just sit there and listen, and then it seems like you'll think that they hit the ground, but when they hit the ground, you'll know. It's just a totally different sound. It doesn't carry as far, and you can just kind of tell by the height that, hey, that thing's on the ground now. And as soon as I hear him gobble on the ground, few soft yelps, and he hammers. I'm like, all right, sweet. And then a hen, I thought it was a hunter, lit up behind me, just squawking away. Because this hen probably yelped and clucked for a good 10 minutes, just relentlessly. I'm like, wow. I'm like, it had to be a guy. Had to. But the way we were set up is that was back behind me, then me in the middle, and then a gobbler. I'm like, I'm just going to let her that hunter do the talking. I'm going to just steal this bird from him. I don't even care.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden it sounded like the hen was, like the caller was moving and stuff. Like, yeah, maybe he saw me come back down and he's trying to get a better position. Then next thing I know, I've got a hen at like 30 yards. I'm like, oh, so that was a bird. All right. So I'm sitting there and I call a few more times. Bird keeps hammering, but he doesn't sound like he's getting any closer. So now I'm like, I'll just shut up. A couple minutes goes by, and then I hear a gobble. I mean, wicked close, but behind me. It was like in my ear. It felt like the bird was just like right over my shoulder. So I'm like, oh my God. So I just peek over my shoulder, and I got 3 jakes at like 15 yards. They never made a sound coming in. I probably walked right by them in the tree, back through.
They obviously didn't gobble on the roost either.
No, never. Not even once. So they're like 15 yards behind me, and I know I joked a couple weeks leading up to this that I was going to pop a jake for you in Kentucky, but I couldn't. Not that early in the morning with other birds gobbling. It just wasn't happening. So those birds eventually work right in front of me. I mean, I had them at 5, 10, 15, like all the way through. And they met up with that hen, took off, but I still had this other bird gobbling. And so at this point, I'm like, all right, I got to, move a little bit here. I want to try and, I knew that the gobbler was far enough away that I could move, and that would help me sound like I'm a real hen that's, moving around through the timber over here. So I kind of moved like 30, 40 yards back and over, and then kind of called like twice on my way over and then sat back down. But at that point, I didn't put my decoys back up, and I should have, because that's what we're leading into here. Eventually, I get this gobbler to come in. He was at like 60 in the brush, and pretty much got in line to where I needed him to be, but just not quite close enough or clear. And he peeked around, looked for a hen, didn't see it, and took off. There was another hen that he followed, but it was just like he could tell something ain't right, gone.
Yeah.
So I sat for another half hour. While you guys were trying to call me was when that bird was at like 70. I'm like,
It's usually how it works out,
I was like afraid that you guys were going to come onto my side looking for this bird or like looking for me or something. Cause like my phone was blowing up. And I'm like, these guys better just mind their own business because this bird is coming close. But yeah, so I stuck around for a little bit longer, and once he worked away, I just kind of knew the gig was up. I wasn't going to get back on that bird. So met you guys back at the truck. And,
Do you think that bird was the same one that I was talking about said was hammering?
Yeah, it had to have been.
Okay.
Because there was only one bird gobbling. Like, I don't know like what you guys could hear from over there.
Yeah.
But from where you guys were at in my direction, was it just one bird you could hear?
Oh, we ended up hearing 2, didn't we?
Yeah, definitely 2.
But one was out towards your direction, must have been the one you heard, and then one was out towards the field, towards the top of the hill where I shot mine.
Yeah, I'm saying like in my direction though. It
Yeah.
seemed like there was. I only had one bird that I ever got going, but I had 3 gobblers behind me, all Jakes. I mean, they were all just 2-3 inch beards. But like I say, it was tempting. I had thought about it, especially because I mean they were like right in front of me. I'm like, man, I could just
Oh, yeah.
turkey nuggets tonight, you know. Just to see the look on your face if I come out with a Jake.
Yeah, he was
But-
just foaming out the mouth.
Yeah.
Just,
Oh, I was, barking at the chain, just ready to go.
yeah.
But I held off. Can't say I'll be able to do that again this year, but for now,
Yeah. It was a
Hold
smart
on.
move, but
yeah, it was. It definitely was. Especially with another bird gobbling. He was a nice mature bird. Obviously didn't see his spurs or anything, but as he walked through, I could see a beard hanging. So I mean, he was probably over 8, easy, nice and heavy. But it was
Yeah.
still fun to be in there to like, for me to go to Kentucky for the first time and jump on that side of the road just kind of on a whim, based off of terrain features that I liked. I was very pleased with that, and I don't want to sound cocky, but you give me 2 or 3 days there, I think I could have got a bird.
yeah.
I
It
called.
just shows you how many birds are down there. I mean,
But I will say, in all of the states that we've went out of state, Kentucky had the most birds. That like in the pocket we were in, like I've been to Kansas, I've been to Ohio, Maryland, New York, Kentucky. Now Kentucky to me has had the most population of birds, and that could just be the area that I was in. But I don't know what you think, Tommy. But Kentucky seemed like there was plentiful birds.
Oh, yeah, there was definitely no shortage of them, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tom and I thought we were close to getting it done, but we just kept calling. I didn't want to be over calling them, and I had Tom out in front with a decoy and a hen set up, but couldn't get it done. They didn't come in within, I don't know, 150 yards.
They were gobbling on the roost, but we could tell they were a ways away, probably, over 200 yards. And they definitely sounded like they got quite a bit closer, but for whatever reason, we just couldn't reel them in, and we tried to make a move on them, and they kept gobbling, and then they worked their way out to the field. I don't know if they got henned up, but
Yeah, they could have had hen silent with them. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I mean, I guess rest of the day that while Tom and I were able to hunt, we just kind of bebopped around different properties and calling, and
Drove around calling from the road, and
yeah, it was tough. I mean, I've never seen that many hunters. I mean, it was like every place that you think you could pull off, there was a car.
yeah, if you didn't get it done in the morning, it wasn't looking good.
Yeah, and that's kind of what we noticed. But I mean, I still had a great time,
Yeah.
and would definitely go back to Kentucky if I went back to Kentucky, I'd want at least 3-4 days. I wouldn't do that trip again without a week,
Yeah.
or close to a week.
Yeah, 6 hours don't sound like a lot until you're behind the wheel and you're like, holy cow.
Well, especially like I don't know if we talked about it, last week or anything, but I closed on a house Wednesday,
Yeah.
and then was out there all day, all night Thursday, all night Thursday and Wednesday, and then Friday literally got in the truck, drove all the way to Kentucky, barely didn't sleep at all Friday night, hunted all day Saturday, crashed around like noon for a couple hours, and then went back out for the evening. So it was just like a lot to do for, 6 hours away. I'd like to have a few days to do that.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, this weekend, I know Tom, I don't know, Austin, if you're going with them, but Tom, what do you got going on this weekend?
well, Austin will be in Ohio.
Opener for Ohio, huh?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
Let's keep our fingers crossed for him. I got a good feeling about it.
We'll see what happens. Leaves might be on the trees down there this time. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, talking a big game.
But we'll see what happens. We're going to go down the lease and try and double up and kill a bird with my paw.
Nice.
So,
That's a cool feeling.
yeah.
I've doubled up a couple times, and it's, I don't know, killing one turkey is cool, but killing two is way better. It's a lot of fun, and just to share that experience with somebody, because it's different. You know, if you're sitting with somebody like deer hunting and they kill a deer and you just watched it, or you watch somebody kill a turkey, it's cool.
Yeah.
But when both of you are there, like doing the old 3, 2, 1, boom, like it's pretty neat.
Oh yeah.
So I've been fortunate enough to do that with Tom and my buddy Joe once. But
We've done it a couple times.
yeah, that's true. But I guess on that note, we'll kind of wrap things up here. Oh, what?
Didn't even let me say what I had
Oh,
going on
you
this
should have
weekend.
said it. Go ahead and interrupt me. What do you got going on?
Well, for those of you that don't know, and I'm not ashamed to say this because it's the truth, and I'm not going to say I didn't have my opportunities because
You have.
I've had many opportunities. But I don't know if I've ever announced this before, but I have never killed a longbeard.
I don't think you've ever said it on the air.
I've killed a lot of turkeys, all of them being Jake's.
Yeah.
And I've had, if I killed every longbeard I had the opportunity at, I would kill a longbeard every year. But every year somehow I screw
They've
it
just
up.
evaded you.
Yeah, whether my gun didn't go off, I missed one at 25 yards in an open field. Not real sure how that happened.
That was a limp turkey, or a gimp turkey, too.
Yeah, he was limping.
Yeah, it was a gimp turkey, and he missed.
I've had him at 30 yards and just couldn't get the shot off. I don't know. I'm struggling to kill a longbeard, but this year I am more determined than ever to finally. And I think it's one of them deals. Once I get the first one out of the way, they're just going to start piling up.
Yeah.
That's what happened with me.
What are you thinking? 8, 9, 12?
You're looking full fan, huh?
Full fan, yeah. 2-year-old, I'd be happy.
Gotcha.
So this weekend I'm going up to what I think is probably my best piece of turkey hunting ground at the White Cat headquarters. And I'm taking up a bunch of cell cameras. I'm going up Friday night, probably drink, and then wake up Saturday morning, roost birds. I'm not going to do any calling. I'm just going to, we have a double ladder that overlooks one of the main fields that they come out to.
Yeah, I would say I highly recommend, just jumping in that ladder so it's totally non-invasive.
Yeah, and I'm just going to sit there and watch and wait until they come out into the field, and then I'll watch them do their thing, see what they do, where they go, and then once they get back into the woods, I'm going to go get my cell cameras. I'm going to put one camera right where they came out, and then maybe put one.
Where they go back in.
I was thinking probably, 150 yards to the right of where they came out and 150 yards to the left where they came out, just to kind of span that whole area, see if I can't pattern where they're coming out into the field. And then I have, I think, 3 more cameras that I can put up. I'll put one, maybe I'll put 2 in like where I think they might be roosting, maybe 1 in a strut zone, and then just kind of areas where I think they're going to be hanging out. So see if I can't get a pattern like, okay, this bird has showed up here 3 out of the last 4 days at this time. Probably a good idea to sit there.
Gotcha.
Or if I miss him here, I know at 10 o'clock he hangs out over here.
Yeah. That's one thing. That's really the one thing we haven't really totally learned on that property is where these birds go for the day.
I'm going to learn.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say it now. I'm gonna kill a longbeard this year.
I hope you do.
Yeah.
Get that monkey off your back.
Yep.
Well, I think we'll leave it on that, Tom. Tom's killing a longbeard this year. You guys know what to do. Get outside.